Respected chairpersons, and good morning, everybody. Myself, Dr. Behra, I am working at FMRI Gurgaon. We are equipped with 256 slice MDCT from Philips and 3 Tesla MRI. I particularly work with CT scanners, and few of my images are from previous hospital from 64 slice, and few are from 256 slice images. So my topic is CT angiography in peripheral vascular disease. So PVD is common in patients above 75 years old, in smokers, diabetes. PVD is progressive in nature. PVD has strong association with CAD and CV, cerebrovascular accident, and PVD has poor outcome. So this is a basic background. Clinical history, physical examination, ankle brachial index, all these gives basic idea about the disease, but not very specific. Non-invasive functional assessment, including duplex ultrasound and Doppler study, helps to evaluate arterial flow dynamics in affected areas along with pathological changes, but fail to provide global view. So what next? Clinical history, non-invasive lab findings present the severity of disease only and does not provide comprehensive anatomical information needed for the therapeutic planning. Hence, there is a strong need for suitable imaging tool to provide comprehensive anatomical information of entire vascular tree as well as the pathological changes for the better therapeutic planning. So to meet this requirement, you have the basic three modalities. One is DSA, CT scans and MRI. So my topic will be limited to CT scan. CT is becoming more and more attractive due to improved MDCT technology, like we have developed 256 slice CT, 320 slice CT scanner, enabling scanning of the whole vascular tree in much shorter time period with reduced contrast media and laser radiation dose. I'll give you an example. In my previous scanner, 264 slice, in a peripheral lower limb angiography, what I have to get about 10 to 12 millisieverts. With the present scanner ICT, my scan reduction dose is less than 4 millisieverts. Recent advancement in dual energy and spectral CT technology has made it possible for material specific imaging of body parts beyond morphological details like e.g. bone and plaque subtractions, virtual unenhanced images, iodine mapping, organ perfusing, all this. This has helped further reduction in radiation contrast dose. This is images in the left side. This is from the single source. We have got calcification. It's very difficult to subtract and to see the vessel lumen. In the right side, this is image from the dual energy. One is showing post contrast. There's a lot of calcification in the distal aorta, the left common iliac. The same, once you subtract the calcium, you can see the vessel lumen very nicely. You don't have to take a plain scan to assess the calcium. So this is the advantage of dual energy spectral CT. Clinical diagnostic accuracy. So CT gives exact localization as well as severity to the disease process. It helps in therapeutic treatment planning, vascular access planning, and device selection. Allows focused endovascular intervention. So this helps to minimize contrast dose, radiation exposure, and complication during the procedures. Ideal for bypass graft and stent surveillance. Incidental detection of associated vascular and non-vascular disease entities is very important. If you do the CT, apart from the vascular tree, you can see the other pathological changes also inside the body. Clinical applications of peripheral vascular CTA, wide clinical application from the neck vessels, aorta, limb vessel, distal down through, everything is possible. All disease entities can be seen in the same scale. So this is showing the aortic arch and the neck vessels, so anomalous origin of the left right subclavian artery as well as the neck vessels. There we can assess very nicely, grade the stenosis. This is a very interesting case. This patient had a gunshot injury from the back on the left side, and after 7 days he developed falsettal neck vessel swelling. CT previous done elsewhere was not constituted. So I did a CT angio. Here we could see a arteriovenous fistula between the jugular veins and the left subclavian, and the last one, the post-stenting, after 2 days, absolutely cleared up. This is the patient, again having severe back pain, X-ray showed right paratracheal mass. So we did a CT angio. Here we could see large cavity. And this is the tubercular necrotic node which invaded in the right subclavian, giving a pseudo-aneurysm. This patient was treated with a surgical procedure. This is another case, patient who had dysphagia for 4 to 5 durations, CT chest done, elsewhere there is a normal, but I did a CT angio. Here I could see there is a right-sided aortic arch and there is a aberrant right left subclavian artery with the comoral diverticum. This is causing possible the compression of the esophagus giving to dysphagia. So this is the another left-sided pulmonary AV fistula. This is a patient, young girl who is a dysmenorrhagia and bleeding severely. Ultrasound was not confirmatory, so we did a CT angio. We could demonstrate a uterine AV malformation, give rise to bleeding, so treated nicely thereafter. Aortic aneurysms, various evaluation criteria like diameter, extent, size, proximal distal neck, everything. This can be very well seen in the CT angio. So these are complex aortic aneurysm, aortic ectasia. These are defined as not suitable for any interventional procedure. So these are the two aneurysm on the proximal distal arch, but here the proximal neck was very short. So after the aneurysm, this left subclavian could not be spared. Another infrarenal aortic arch aneurysm. You had a necessary right anal artery with a very short neck. So after stenting this artery, there is an infarct of the right lower. So all these things can be predicted before the procedure is undertaken. Like similarly, aortic dissection, another various criteria, particularly their extent, site, extent, location, any branch vessel involvement, everything can be well visualized with CT angio. This is the patient who has come severe chest pain with the CT angio. There is a type 2 dissection with involvement of the celiac axis to envelop the left renal artery, proximal neck, entry point, re-entry point, everything could be visualized properly and managed with a stenting. But this patient come after 1 year, a lower abdominal parietal swelling. So we could see the stent is working very nicely, but the re-entry point is still persisting and there is a pseudo-aneurysm of the false lumen. Possibly this is the cause for this pulsatile swelling. This is a known case, follow-up case of aortoarthritis reported with a severe chest pain. We did the CT angio. This is type 2 dissection extending up to the renal artery. This is the patient with severe pain and weakness of the upper limb. We did the CT angio. Again, we can see the thrombus in the left subclavian as well as the distal ulnar artery and radial artery, giving rise to thromboembolic phenomenon. So this is another few days back I have done a young girl, 27 years. 3 months back she had a pain in the left upper limb but treated conservatively, did not bother. Again she came with absolutely cramping pain and blue needle of the left distal forearm and hand. So we did the CT angio. We could demonstrate total blockage of the distal radial artery and thrombus in the ostial thrombus, the left subclavian. So this patient was managed conservatively with IV thrombolysis and patient improved like anything. This is the patient, again, had atrial fibrillation with completely pain, lower limb, CT angio is a long segment thrombus. After surgical thrombectomy, 3 days after the thrombectomy, this is the picture of the follow-up picture. So this is post-trauma, had a fracture rod traffic, fracture femur, and there is no pulse in the left lower limb, CT angio, you could see there is a compound fracture as well as there is an injury to the obliterated artery leading to pulseless lower distal limb. Here another patient who is a contusion, no fracture, nothing, but he has got no pulse distal pulse in the left upper limb, so we could see there is a vascular injury. This is the last patient I had done in the hospital. He is come of 1 month claudication left lower limb, CT angio, reveal short segment narrowing with atherosclerotic changes. This patient, the total radiation was 3.6 millisieverts. So this is the atherosclerotic disease process diffuse and follow-up FEM crossover and FEM for bilateral. These are the follow-up study pattern. So this is the various major endoleaks, minor endoleak. So to conclude, with continued technological advancement, MDC has become a much safer and cost-effective non-invasive imaging tool in peripheral vascular disease. Dual energy and spectral CT has further improved the diagnostic ability in vascular imaging with its material-specific imaging protocols with much reduced radiation to patients and contrast dose. CTA has wide spectrum clinical applications in peripheral vascular imaging with higher sensitivity and specificity comparable to DSA. Thank you. Have a nice day.